take you to the hardwoods. The number 21 Memphis Tigers hosting Mississippi State. Tyrese Hunter with a turnover. RJ Melendez is going to get the steal here. Then they go in transition. It's Cameron Matthews to Josh Hubbard, who throws it down. That made it 76-53 at the minute. And boy, did the Bulldogs make a statement in this one. They were a 1.5-point favorite on the road, and they come into Memphis's arena, and they walk away with a 79-66 victory over the number 21 Tigers. Back here with CBS Sports analyst Matt McCall. Matt, when we talked about this in the pregame show, you were high on Mississippi State. You said they should be ranked. They are a better team than what people are giving them credit for. And here they are. They walk away with a road win here. What'd you think?
11-1.
Yeah.
We took it the SEC, and we talk about Tennessee, we talk about Auburn, we talk about Kentucky, who we're getting ready to watch here. This team is 11-1. Their only loss was coming off a back-to-back all the way out in Arizona. How about this? Their best player today, Josh Hubbard, he didn't even have that great of a game. Okay game, had 13 points, just 1 assist. We talked about how he is leading the country in assist-to-turnover ratio, but this is a really, really good basketball team. Still some question marks with Memphis. Yes, they beat UConn. We know that. Yes, they won on the road at Clemson, but this is the third game they've been blown out. They got blown out by Auburn. They got blown out by Arkansas State, and then today, on their home court, got blown out by Mississippi State. But you have to give the Bulldogs credit. They are for real. Chris Jans, all the guy does, even going back to his tenure at New Mexico State, is go to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do again, and you cannot count out these Mississippi State Bulldogs when it comes to the SEC regular season championship.
And it's so interesting, too, because to your point of all those upsets that Memphis had this year, people were banging on the table for Memphis to be ranked, and then they finally got here, and now we're having a similar conversation when it comes to Mississippi State. It's certainly interesting, and no one better to break down what we just saw between Memphis and Mississippi State than one of the gentlemen on the call. We've got Steve Lappas joining us. Steve, thanks so much for taking the time. What impressed you the most about Mississippi State's win today?
Well, they were really good on both ends, but defensively, what they did, that's how they ended up running away with this game, was because of what they were able to force Memphis to not be able to do in the offensive end. Their defense was tremendous, and I also thought one of the big differences in this game was they have a lot of length on the perimeter, except for Josh Hubbard, who's kind of, 5'11" and stocky. The rest of these guys, long arms, long legs, deflected a lot of balls, and I think that's how if you stop Memphis's guards, that's the key to beating them, and they really did a number on, especially Kobe Jones, they did a number on those guys, and that was the big key in the win. And obviously they shot the ball tremendously, which always helps, but it was their defense that set the tone today.
Yeah, taking a look at the box score, they kind of got contributions from a lot of people. Is there a player that you point to on this Mississippi State team that was the leader that really helped them get this big upset on Memphis's floor?
Yeah, I mean, they are one of the best bench teams in the country for bench scoring. And Riley Cool comes off the bench and has 15 at halftime, and he really went 6 for 6 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3. He was a key guy. And Keyshawn Murphy, another guy, comes off the bench and has a great game. So their two best players in this game both came off the bench. And I heard you guys talking that Josh Hubbard, who's their best player, comes into this game with only 3 turnovers all year, had 4 turnovers in the first half. So for them to win on the road against a good, talented team without their best player really being a factor in the game, I think that speaks well for Mississippi State.
If we push this to the other side, Steve, before we let you go, Memphis Tigers, obviously this is not the way they wanted this game to go. How do they move forward from here?
They have one more really important game for them in the pre-conference season in Ole Miss, who's ranked, but that's going to be a tough game. Another SEC team coming in here. They've got to get ready for that one and try and get it, because when they get to the American Conference, there's not going to be a whole lot of quality wins to be had. And what drives coaches nuts is not only do you not have quality wins, but you got a lot of potential bad losses there because of the net score of a lot of the teams. And when you go on the road in conference, I don't care who you play, it's always going to be hard. So getting that Ole Miss game, they've done a great job in the pre-conference season. Getting that Ole Miss game will really help them.
Yeah, definitely. Still plenty of season left to unfold. Our Steve Lappas joining us here on HQ. Steve, thanks so much for the time. We certainly appreciate it. Back here with our Matt McCall. All right, so we heard from the guy in the booth. What'd you think of what he had to say?
Yeah, I mean, he's a former UMass coach as well. I mean,
yeah, you guys
great
got the
former
connection.
UMass coaches think alike. I couldn't agree with Coach Lappas more and just his assessment of the game and the physicality of Mississippi State's teams. Coach Jans's teams have always been really, really good on the defensive end of the floor. They've always been good in terms of rebounding, plus 14 rebound margin in this one. But Memphis really couldn't get anything going offensively, and that's because of Mississippi State's defense. But the depth of this team, Riley Kugel comes off the bench and leads their team in scoring. At one point this season, they had started 9 different starting lineups. He's got about 7 or 8 guys that he can start on a given night. Coach Jans starts based on the matchup in the game. So what a performance on the road for this Bulldog team. But to Coach Lappas' point, Memphis has got to get it going here because once they get into conference play, there's not many resume-building wins that they're going to have in that league. Knocking off an Ole Miss will really help them.
Yeah, it's just so tough, too, with college basketball. Like, every single game ends up mattering, especially when you get down to the stretch and in the conference play. When it comes to Mississippi State, I'm looking at their schedule here. It looks like they'll host Bethune-Cookman on the 30th before then turning around and opening SEC play against South Carolina. So when you look at that matchup, what takeaways does Mississippi State have to prepare them for that conference slate? Because you talked about it. They could make some noise this year.
I mean, you can make a lot of noise, and there's a lot of resume-building wins when you look at the SEC, which I think is the best league in the country, and I don't even think it's really that close when you look at the likes of Tennessee, Auburn, two of the top teams in the country, Kentucky, who we're getting ready to see here. Florida is undefeated. Oklahoma is undefeated. Just a lot of balance and depth in this league. You better bring your hard hat and your lunch pail every single day because there's going to be some tough matchups in the league. Certainly,
Chris Jans has a lot to be excited about today after getting this big win. He is Matt McCall helping us break down this big win and an upset. It really wasn't an upset. If you listen, they should be ranked, and I can anticipate them making their way into the top 25 in our next update. Taking a look here at the most wins in the first 3 seasons at Mississippi State. Well, there's the man himself. Chris Jans has 53. That is second only to Ben Howland with 55.